Hi, welcome to another episode of 5 Business Rules. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Monica.
And today we are going to give you 5 crazy digital media stats that you should know and why it's relevant for you.
That reminded me of the wild and crazy guys on SNL. All right.
Yeah, it's Friday. We're having fun.
I know.
Okay, so number 1, social media is fully saturated. Okay, what does that mean? That means that the highest usage of social media was in 2017, that 80% of Americans are on social media in some capacity. But each of the last 2 years, it's dropping a percent, which means that essentially the people that are on social media are the people that are there. We're not getting a lot of new adoption.
Yeah, no one's...
Like, my husband is not on it, and he's never going to be.
Really? That's interesting.
He hides from his family and makes me deal with them.
Oh my God.
Hi, family.
I'm not watching.
Anyways, so we've got all the people on, but among all of the social networks, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Twitter, the only one that saw an increase in usage last year was Instagram, and it went up only 3%.
Yeah,
Right?
which isn't much.
Which isn't much. But with that is not only are they not growing, but Facebook has lost 15 million users since 2017.
Shocker.
Okay, now what that means, think of it in a couple ways, right? We know that people are going away from Facebook for privacy, for over information, but what's happening too is it's still the older generation is on, but without being morbid, as they drop off and die, we're not
As they kick the bucket.
they really go away then, but we're not getting these younger generations to come and replace them. It used to be such a rite of passage of when you were 13 you could finally do your Facebook account, and that was where everybody was. Now the kids don't care. They're just not getting on to Facebook anymore.
No, they're on Snapchat, Instagram, and WhatsApp.
And so that's what's actually really interesting. So you might ask, well, if they're not on social media, where are they? And it's actually interesting the way podcasts are coming in, right? Because now 32% of Americans are listening to podcasts, which is actually a really big number.
That's huge.
It's up about, it was 26% in 2018. But what's interesting is for these regular users, they're saying last year and this year, regular users are consuming 7 podcasts a week. That's a lot. That's a lot of listening and all of that.
Yeah.
And that actually drives us into our final stat, which is the onset of the smart speakers, the Alexas, the Google Homes. At this point, almost a quarter of the country has some form of smart speaker, and that equates to about 65 million people that are using the smart speakers. And just in case you're curious, Amazon has totally won this battle. They have double the market share of Google easily. But it's interesting because when you actually look at the stats of how people are using their smart speakers, it's a lot of it is making reservations or all that, but they're telling it to play music, whether it's podcasts or whether it's their radio stations or their iPod or whatever it is. So it's kind of interesting how
That's what
it's
we use
evolving.
ours for. Yeah, because when we ask, we named it Echo. When we ask Echo, like for, to look something up online, like she never has a goddamn answer. She's like, I can't find that information. We're like, oh my God.
But you can, you play something like a dance
She can play music,
There you
but that's it. She's a one-hit wonder in a way.
So, other than just kind of being interesting, some of this is why is this relevant to you, right? And the reason is because you think about where you're going to concentrate your time, because we know that it takes so long to do a content strategy.
Yeah.
Social media is not cheap anymore.
No.
But so maybe you actually need to switch it up and think, okay, even if maybe you don't want to run a podcast, right? Because that does take commitment, lots of work. But maybe you can go be a guest on a podcast and get out that way. And so you just, not saying ditch social media, but think about other ways, or if something's going to be more relevant to your business.
There's always other options in marketing.
So take that. Hope it's useful. If it is, we'd love if you'd share, if you'd like, and if you'd comment. And please come back next time. Bye.